I don't know if anyone knows this. This is a different kind of Jason Kaplan. So Jason Kaplan and Will Murray are now the producers of this show. They are the backstabbing Iagos, especially Jason. For every Will clip is probably 10 Jason clips, but I have my share of Will Murray, and these two now have worked their way up. Some might say, really because of Marcy, have probably usurped Gary in a lot of ways, and we'll get to that down the road. But I have so many. I found this from 2006. I think most people have not heard this. They had a series when series first started called Meet the Shrink with Dr. Leslie Armstrong. Dr. Leslie Armstrong has passed away a year after this came out of some strange death in New Orleans at the age of 50. Her thing was, and I read up on her, she was a drug and alcohol kind of counselor. And a lot of people feel she just slipped back into addiction again and spun out in New Orleans. I don't know. I couldn't find a picture of her. Anyway, she did this series, and Riley Martin was on one, and apparently that was a really big. I can't remember. I heard like half of it, and we'll go to that at some point. I have it. I just got to listen to it again. I think Brent Hatley was on once, and some of the Whack Packers, but Jason Kaplan, amongst the regular cast, volunteered Jason's first tryst with therapy. He had been 2 years on Lexapro at this point. And so Jason does a therapy set. He'll do anything to get in the good graces with Howard to launch his channel. This is like the earliest days of Sirius. And he did a session with her. It is such a strange tone. And you can be kind of weirded out. I did not listen to the whole thing. I just kind of skimmed through it. And I couldn't believe how monotone he was. And here we go. I just want to hear the intro. I think most people have never heard this.
Meet Dr. Leslie Armstrong. Dr. Armstrong is the Howard 100 resident psychologist and life coach, and she's here to help by evaluating characters from the Howard Stern Show.
Good evening and welcome to Meet the Shrink. I'm Dr. Leslie Armstrong, and this evening we're sitting in with Jason Kaplan, associate producer of the Howard Stern Show. How are you, Jason?
Okay. How are you?
I'm good. What brings you here today?
Well, they had an opening on the show, so I thought, why not sit down, have some free therapy. Sounds good.
Okay. You have never been in therapy before?
No.
Okay. Earlier you told me that you had suffered with some bouts of depression.
Yeah.
And you had self-medicated by taking Lexapro.
Yes.
Not under a doctor's care, but just sort of self-prescribed.
You know, my what do you call that? My general practitioner.
Okay.
When I explained to her my depression.
This sounds like Gilbert's offstage voice.
Yeah.
He sounds very not in his histrionic Jason character.
She prescribed them, but I didn't see it like a psychiatrist or anything while I was taking them. And I decided to end them myself.
How long were you on the Lexapro?
Probably a little bit less than a year.
Okay. And then you just went off it abruptly?
Yeah, I kind of just started getting lazy, forgetful taking them. I was, I kind of just petered out.
Okay. And how long have you been off it now?
Probably about over a year at this point, year and a couple months.
Now, how does your depression usually manifest itself?
I just feel horrible. I guess I start feeling horrible inside. I have a lot of trouble motivating myself to get out of bed in the morning.
Okay.
And then I usually can't sleep at night no matter how tired I am. I'm almost afraid to go to sleep.
Afraid because...
You guys want to do some, I'm going to do some arm assumptions here. You know why he's never been to therapy with all those problems? Because K-Rock wouldn't cover it.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
You're going to hear why after this. There's not a shot in hell he had benefits at K-Rock.
Right.
They just got to Sirius.
Because going to sleep means I'm going to have to start the day again tomorrow. Like, I feel like as long as I'm still up, tomorrow's not going to come. Like, I just have a really hard time just ending the day.
That is very relatable, what he just said. 101 depression, that mood of you kind of like, you become like a night person because you kind of don't want to restart your day. I could completely relate to that.
Turning off the TV and going to bed and laying there in silence.
Now, when you wake up in the morning, what is the first thought that occurs to you? Like, oh, shit, another day? Or is it more like, wow, another day?
No. First of all, it's usually, oh, I feel horrible. That's usually the first thoughts go in my head, and I'm exhausted. My head usually hurts, and I don't feel very well rested. And then I just hit snooze. I just don't want to get up and face the day. I want to put off getting up and facing a new day as long as humanly possible.
But you usually do wind up getting up and getting to work and so forth.
On a work day, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do love my job. Even when I'm depressed, I love my job, and it's important to me. So I would never, or I won't say never, hopefully never, but I have never just blown off coming into a day of work.
How about on weekends? Do you sleep all weekend? Do you stay in bed?
When I'm alone, a lot of times, yeah.
Okay.
When I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a girlfriend, but on the weekends when I don't see her, it's usually, I usually hole up in my room the whole weekend.
The whole weekend? And don't see anyone?
Nope.
Okay. How long have you been in this relationship?
4 or 5 years at this point.
Okay. And is your depression impacting the relationship?
I think it has. I think, when I'm depressed, I don't usually an outgoing person. I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't want to see anybody.
Does she personalize this?
No, she has her own demons, and she's very
demons.
Hmm?
She has her own demons.
I'm sure his girlfriend, now wife, loves that he's talking about this right here.
Yeah, right.
Isn't that some confidentiality thing?
This is garbage. Like, what the hell is Howard thinking?
He's thinking that he wants them to be, so he doesn't have to do this. He's trying to throw enough shit against the wall.
But they didn't even play this on, like, Howard didn't play this on the air, did he? Like, the next week he said,
no, not that I remember, not
Jason.
Jason.
Clips of Jason talking about how much of a loser he is.
Not Jason.
Nothing.
Not Jason's. He played the other ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, she understands. She's not. She's very empathetic. She understands. She is not the cause of my depression. She's never really caused like an argument or anything. If that's what you're asking.
Mm-hmm. So she's not argumentative.
No.
And she understands when.
How great is that? Jason's on his Howard computer while he's doing this, and you could hear his email closing out.
You can hear his Outlook calendar notifying him as something. Right.
You want to isolate.
Usually, yeah.
And usually, or sometimes she doesn't?
No, well, I don't think she really knows what goes on when she's not around in terms of exactly the state I'm in. When I'm by myself and depressed, like, there's just nothing that can get me out of bed. I don't answer the phone. I don't go outside. I eat a lot.
Is the overeating causing the depression or feeding into it?
I'm sure it's a cycle. The eating makes me feel better for a little bit, and then I feel bad because I ate so much and I'm so overweight.
Are you compulsively eating?
Oh, yeah.
Part of Jason's brand is eating, right? So he had the fast food show and the fat guy show, right. And he sort of owned it. Like, he was just like, no. And we're going to get into that next time. He had that big fight with John Hine about being a huckster and a charlatan when it comes to fast food. He's just trying to sell shit. He's just trying to throw stuff. He's an expert, but he doesn't have condiments, and he doesn't eat this, and he doesn't that. And that was a big point of contention to Jason, was like, you don't deserve this. He doesn't deserve it. He's right. I agree 100%.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm in a really bad state, I'll sit home and order food. We don't have any food in the apartment, so I'll order. I'm so afraid of running out of food in the apartment that I'll just order tons of food. Just
order tons of food.
Like on a Friday night, I'll just order tons of food. That way,
and you'll binge.
You don't have to leave the house.
I'll binge, but also that way I don't need to go out at all. I'll have no reason to leave the apartment. I'll have no reason to call anybody. If I just order it all in one shot.
I do that with ice all the time. I do. Okay.
But do you vomit afterwards?
Oh, no. I didn't know what you meant by purge.
Purging means.
Oh, no. I thought you meant purge on food. No, I don't throw up afterwards.
Do you exercise?
No.
Have you ever thought about exercising?
Yeah, I mean, I have. I go through, once in a blue moon, I go through bouts of going.
If I were Jason, I would have said to her, do I look like I throw up? And pulled my fucking shirt up or something.
I love how the psychiatrist is like, I just picture her with like a choose your own adventure, path for Jason, and it gets less hopeful as he answers more. Like, have you ever thought about exercise? No? Okay, great. Let me, we're one level closer to hell.
That's what it sounds like. She's on the you're right about that. That's a pretty astute observation, right?
Yeah, but I haven't recently.
What's your relationship like with your mother?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jason's mom's fascinating. He's that Epidus complex
Oedipus.
Or whatever. We'll get into her. Not really this time, but she's all over the place.
Interesting.
What does that mean? Interesting.
You know, I don't really want to get into.
Is she overbearing?
That's a Jewish stereotype. She was slapping that out. Oh, she's overbearing?
She's very. She tries to be very involved in my life.
And she doesn't understand the depression, I guess, aspect of this, that depression can be biochemical in nature. It doesn't have to be, you know, you could have the greatest life in the world. I mean, I work with a lot of celebrities in my private practice, and, you know, the picture on the outside.
You see, I'm not as kind as Jason. For the rest of the session, I would be like, who are your clients?
Right.
I wouldn't stop.
That's you going to have therapy with Allison. You would just turn it into Howard questions immediately.
The rest of the session, I'd be asking her who her clients were. She goes, I cannot reveal. It's confidential. And I wouldn't stop.
Outside looks great. I mean, they've got it all. You know, the girls, the houses, the money, the fame, and they're miserable. So it's not about what is externally around you. It's what you're feeling internally.
Sometimes I say, are celebrities miserable or overindulged that they just can't get enough and they can't appreciate life?
Yes,
you're just so
they become
overindulged.
Addicted. Yeah.
Yep.
Addicted
to being catered to.
Needing, wanting. And if things don't work out for them, they can't cope with it like we can. We're so used to things not working out that we set a level. That's why hugely successful sports stars must, out of the public eye, must be mentally deranged, because when you lose, it's just agony. You're just mentally like, we lost. That must be incredibly difficult.
I think it is. I think it's difficult, but I also think that it's way easier now than it used to be, because these guys are so generationally wealthy that all their problems can be taken away. Back in even like in the 80s, they weren't guaranteed many lifetimes over with generational wealth. So they were living on that, and they had the endorphin rush of winning and personal, individual awards and everything else. So you get so used to that attention. They don't want to retire because they don't know what to do with themselves without that attention.
Yeah.
Well, and Howard is a prime example of someone who's gotten if you keep getting every toy that you ask for Christmas, every day is Christmas.
Yep.
Eventually you're going to be a bored little child sitting on a pile of toys that you don't want to play with. And then boredom very quickly turns into, I think, like an impending sense of doom, like something like you start inventing reasons to be paranoid and stressed out because you're getting everything you want, and maybe there's part of you that's waiting for the other shoe to drop. But it's just you being overly indulged. When
we used to have Benjamin on our old show, he had he said that Howard turned his show into every week is Thanksgiving.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
We have Thursday and Friday off, and
Wednesday,
Black Friday. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's we successfully turned the show. It was a great line.
Reminds me. Remember when you were a kid? I don't know if you guys did, but I'd say to my mum and dad, we have Mother's Day and Father's Day. Why don't we have Kids Day? And I remember my mum. Everyone might remember your mum. My mum turned to me and went, "Look, Bonnie, every day is Kids Day."
She called them Bonnie.
Yeah, just the most. They and they're so right. I love.
You didn't buy it at the time, though. You didn't. I had that same conversation with my mom, and because we had a newspaper in Long Island called Newsday, and one of the pullouts was called Kids Day, and I pulled it out and I go, "You see, Newsday gets it. They have a Kids Day. Why can't you?"
Another year of tending to you has just been lacquered on, and she's just more and more belligerent about it.
Yeah, and raising kids must be hell. I'm so glad I'm never going through it.
I heard David say, "Don't you think I'm letting lacquered get away from me, David?"
Maze and an emphatic stroke of Byzantine whimsy.
Are you in touch with your feelings?
I think so. Honestly.
Well, I mean, we're not out to, do this witch.
No, I know, but I feel bad.
You feel bad why? Because it's like a Jewish guilt thing. I mean, you're supposed to talk about your mother, blah, blah, blah.
It's just I know my parents are good people, and I don't want to be one of those people.
They're bad people.
I know. Well, maybe. All right.
Are we?
Morning.
Did anybody say anybody was bad?
No.
We're just trying to get to the root of the problem and see where maybe the depression has its genesis. And try to work on that so that you don't have to live the way that you're living, sort of going to work and running home and locking yourself up in your apartment all weekend and ordering tons of food and escaping through that and not really having a life. And I think you deserve more than that. And I think you should have more than that.
The ultimate to be a psychotherapist, psychologist, whatever, counselor, you have to say, this should be mandatory. You deserve more than that. You must say that phrase in every therapy session. That they'll keep coming back if you just say that once.
I think the root of depression or anxiety or anything like that, the best thing you can do is assume that it's biochemical and address it with medication, and then look at the external factors. Just because maybe the medication will, as you both attested, like, it will make a night and day difference, and the external things that you could have, attributed your depression to suddenly don't bother you anymore.
That was a very polite way of calling me a mental patient. No, you know what? But there's a whole argument, David. It's been going on in mental health. It's is it nature versus nurture, or
yes.
What's the other one? Holistic versus regular medicine, where a psychologist thinks, oh, you're just not working hard enough. You need to get to the core of this. You can't medicate that person out of this. There's something deeper going on.
Right.
And the medication is a cop-out. You're not getting to the root of this. They argue to death that that's like a lazy way out.
And the psychiatrist says, no, it's a chemical imbalance.
They always say that,
two
right?
Different
and
things. The
two
psychologist is all about the thoughts and the thinking and the life, and then the psychiatrist is.
It is maybe approaching it from both ends of the telescope, but like I got
your telescope, pal.
Thank you. I don't know how hard I'm willing to defend the point I just made, because maybe
it's a great point. It is a massive, the biggest argument in mental health, the biggest debate is psychologist versus psychiatrist, and which is the way to go.
We're certainly not out on some witch hunt or trying to attack somebody or blame them. As a matter of fact,
Tamara's right too. You're not going to find the primary issue in one session.
It's like a sitcom taking care of a character's alcoholism in 23 minutes,
And he doesn't want to do this.
He's taking one for the team. He knows that it goes well with Howard.
When you start taking responsibility for yourself is when you're going to get better. But in order to have a solution, we got to identify the problem, right?
Okay. Well, it makes sense to me.
And if you're not in touch with your feelings, then you can't touch anyone else.
With her saying that, we are assuming that she is fully in touch with her feelings, because she's going to deal with his problems because she is in touch. Is that what she's trying to say? That's what I'm wondering.
I do think sometimes therapists, they throw out bumper stickers like that. Just
platitudes.
But platitude, right. And I actually don't trust therapists who use platitudes. There's nothing more depressing than a pep talk.
Yes.
So with that tone of voice of kind of like, oh, come on, crack a smile. I get defensive when I'm told what to do by a therapist, as opposed to them giving me a line of questioning that makes me find it for myself.
Yeah. I had a pep talk once, and the person went, this is like the worst ever. Well, you're not on drugs, and you never committed a crime. You got that going for you. Like, that was honestly, that was like the
lowest.
Yeah, the lowest.
Hanging.
Right.
They actually expect you to jump out of the chair and go, I'm fucking cured. Goodbye, sir.
You've no felonies, and you're not.
And how much did that guy cost an hour? John?
I mean, John, you're in the basement, but you're not in the sub basement. I mean, Jesus.
That makes sense too.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I always thought I was in touch with my feelings. I still think I'm in touch with my feelings, and
I think you're very cerebral.
Maybe.
Right.
You know this in 5 minutes. He has not said the word boondoggle. He has not said vicissitudes. Why is he cerebral?
If I didn't know him, I'd just say he's an introverted young man who just seems to have some issues.
Yeah,
if I didn't
maybe
know who
slightly
he was.
above intelligence. I don't think he's cerebral.
What was her qualifications? Do you know anything about?
She was a drug and alcohol counselor. She actually was a mental patient. I think she was institutionalized as well. And so she had a huge bout. She had a drunk driving accident where she fucking crashed. She stumbled onto the windshield. Through the windshield onto another windshield.
Jesus.
Through a drunk driving accident. And she passes away. I'm going to say it's suicide a year from now. So in 2007, she passes. She dies in New Orleans.
That's strange that she's advising people about mental health. Of course,
it
is strange.
The reason she was qualified is because she agreed to the $200 a show that Riley Martin agreed to. So
I can't wait to get there. We got to do a Riley Martin show. I think people will love that. We do a Riley
I think you're very much in your head.
I'm completely in my
Everybody's
head.
in their head.
Right?
Yeah.
But I try and
what mental patient
again, I don't know if this is being in
head?
touch with your feelings or not, but like in my outside relationships to the people I'm close to, I try and be very empathetic to whatever they're feeling.
So listen, do you think you'll ever get married to this girlfriend?
Yeah, I guess one day.
Yeah?
I don't like thinking about it. We're just about to move in.
You don't like thinking about it?
Well,
How about
like
Pellel's Jor-El advice here? He goes, I think experience cures anxiety. When you're ready for most things, you can get ready for it and not worry about the unknown. Well said, Pellel.
John, what was that accent you were doing? Because it sounds a
There's
little
Marlon
bit...
Brando in Superman.
Oh, a bit of this.
Jews completely run Hollywood. Hollywood is completely run by Jews.
How do you have that? Oh, my God. I don't even remember doing that.
Johnny, just get your own island and fuck everybody. Just go on the island.
When did I do
make
that?
your own rules.
Is that like the first Deppening? When did I do? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I've been going back.
But, I mean, how do you feel about the possibility of eating the next 10,000 breakfasts with the same person for the rest of your life?
that does not scare me. It
Doesn't?
really doesn't. It's not the commitment issue of it that bothers me.
Okay.
It's actually the whole going through with the wedding that bothers me. It's the telling people that you're getting married. It's the engagement. It's the putting the wedding together.
Are you engaged?
No.
Okay.
But it's the whole process.
Is she looking for an engagement?
Yes.
And you're holding out on that?
Yes.
And she was probably expecting the ring on Valentine's Day?
You almost feel like Leslie Armstrong's going to go, you're holding out for her? Excuse me? This matinee idol. Sorry, ladies, he's taken.
You know,
Do you
again,
feel the pressure of that, though? I mean, is she on you about this, like, let's get married? Why don't I have the ring? I wanted it Christmas. Now it's Valentine's Day, blah, blah, blah.
I feel badly because I feel she takes me not being enthused about getting married to her.
Are you in love with her?
Yes. As an
Okay.
indictment of her.
I see.
And it's not an indictment of her. It's my own issues.
Well, you've made up your own rules, right?
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to go by societal rules.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
You know, if I'd gone by society rules, I would have never gotten anywhere. I mean, that's for sure. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you're my shrink and you're wearing fishnet stockings and leather boots.
There you
you're
go.
definitely breaking society
That's
rules.
right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Look at see Jason. She's fishnets. Now we see Black Canary in that.
Like, we're moving in together. We're happy. Why ruin it by getting married, you know?
Why ruin a good thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that what you probably might want to go to a specialist, not just like, a general practitioner, go to a psychiatrist, get properly evaluated, see what part of this depression is environmental, what part of this depression is biochemical predisposition.
All right, good enough.